Just say the line and not grunt. Please. Silly drunk pigs.
Look what I've got.
Is that?
Yep, it's our very own drinking boot. Now we can compete in those beer Olympics.
Sweet, bring her over. Oh no, it shattered right on our Pokemon Monopoly game. I have an idea. I've been saving this bad boy for just such an occasion. I got this wand from a gypsy woman I used to go to. I'll simply use magic to put the boot back together.
Will that work?
Abracadabra. Well, that didn't work. I must have said the wrong words.
So say the right words.
I'll try again, but the wand needs a few minutes to recharge. Enjoy the garbage.
Great, magic and garbage. Actually kind of reminds me of Mickey's Magical Quest for Super Nintendo.
What? That's not as bad as World of Illusion for Genesis.
World of Illusion on Sega Genesis was produced by Sega of Japan in 1992. It's part of Sega's Illusion series of Mickey Mouse games. The other games were Castle of Illusion, Land of Illusion, and Legend of Illusion. Castle of Illusion even had a recent remake for PSN and Xbox Live.
The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse on Super Nintendo was developed by Capcom and also released in 1992. It was part of the Disney's Magical Quest series. The other games were The Great Circus Mystery and The Magical Quest 3. The Magical Quest was released in 2002 for Game Boy Advance. 2 Mickey Mouse games involving magic for 2 different consoles? Which one's better? Let's find out.
Well, Super Nintendo has the best looking Mickey Mouse game.
This game has the look you'd expect from a Mickey Mouse game. Mickey and his friends look great. The enemies all look perfect for a Disney game. The levels are distinctive and memorable. This game also has some fluid animation.
Oh, Sega definitely looks better than that.
The characters look like they were drawn by Disney animators. The look of this game has a nice Disney feel to it. They even borrow some characters and levels from previous Disney works. Speaking of levels, there's a nice variety of them in this game. There's some pretty smooth animation here as well. It's definitely the prettier game.
How can you even say that? There's so many problems with your game.
I'm not sure how to describe it, but everything is less clear on Sega, especially compared to Super Nintendo. It's like there's a filter on it that makes everything just a little blurry. And smooth animation? Super Nintendo definitely has a smoother animation of the 2 games. When the game isn't slowing down immensely, which it does quite often, you can see just how choppy Sega is.
Well, don't act like your game's all perfect. The Super Nintendo is flawed on one of the most important graphics. Mickey.
Mickey on Sega looks just like Mickey should. But Mickey looks a little odd on Super Nintendo. He's designed a little odd and he could have used a much better color scheme. And look at his eyes. Those beady black, lifeless eyes. He looks like some bad drawing from a 12-year-old.
Well, that's the last time I draw something nice for you. Anyway, your Mickey has problems too.
Mickey looks way too scared in Sega. Look at the terror.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Haha.
This is not the look of a hero. This is someone who doesn't even want to be here.
And Super Nintendo overall looks better.
Here's the Sega final boss, looking bland, lifeless, and like he's sucked into the background. What are you, fighting a wallpaper? On Super Nintendo, the final boss is lively, colorful, and definitely not in the background. Smoother animation and an overall better look? Graphics go to Super Nintendo.
Well, Sega's gonna blow you away with its presentation. What's that noise?
Oh, the wand dings like a microwave when it's ready. Let's try Presto Changeo. Firefly! You know, I haven't seen this, but I've heard some good things.
You don't need to watch that. It'll create a void in you that'll never be filled.
Okay, well, we're just gonna try again later.
So, Sega's presentation is better.
The game opens like the opening credits of a movie. The cutscenes between levels are told right out of a book. There's also some in-game cutscenes as well. Then you have your magic show ending.
That's boring. Super Nintendo is better.
Super Nintendo starts off with a cutscene too. Then it uses in-game cutscenes to progress the story. Then you have your ending, which ties together all the loose ends.
Well, since they both have cutscenes, I think we need to compare other aspects of these games.
Both games are about magic, but Sega incorporates that theme more. On Super Nintendo, the menu looks like a standard menu, but on Sega, it looks like a magic show with cards. On Super Nintendo, the life gauge is hearts, typical, but on Sega, life is playing cards. The cutscenes in Super Nintendo play like typical cutscenes, but the cutscenes in Sega are in a book, like a book of spells. Sega game plays the magic theme much better than Super Nintendo. Best presentation goes to Sega.
The music on Sega is perfect for a Disney game.
This music is mystical. It can be easygoing. It can also be eerie.
It's got nothing on Super Nintendo's music.
It can be light and whimsical. It can also have a sense of danger. It never feels out of place for a Disney game.
So the music works for both games.
Super Nintendo is way better.
Well, no time for that. The wand's ready.
Give me that. Alright, here we go. Hocus Pocus. What is that, Coke?
Oh, it's Pepsi.
Ah, jeez, man, here's some mints. Anyway, Sega has some bad sound effects.
The sound effects in this game are just weird. Listen to the scratchy sound effects of riding a magic carpet. And it gets weirder. Listen to crawling. Why would they make that sound effect for crawling?
My sound effects are bad? At least Sega didn't borrow all its sound effects from the library of farts like Super Nintendo.
This game is loaded with fart sound effects. For abundance of flatulent sound effects, sound goes to Sega.
Time to seal the deal with Sega's gameplay.
Sega plays like a platformer. Your attack is a magic cloak. You don't kill enemies, but you transform them into something non-threatening. You don't have many moves, but variety is present with different types of levels. You can also be Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. While they don't play differently, they do have some of their own stages to merit multiple playthroughs. And this game is two-player. In two-player, the gameplay changes because you and your partner help each other out constantly. Instead of a friend always getting in the way, you need them in order to get to the next area.
Super Nintendo's gameplay is going to show you some real magic.
The game also plays like a platformer. You attack by jumping on enemies or throwing objects. The game gets really interesting when magic is introduced. As you progress, you get different costumes. Each costume gives you a new ability. There's the sorcerer, the fireman, and the mountain climber. All these costumes play very different from one another and add a nice layer of depth to gameplay. The levels are also cleverly designed, so you have to use each new costume. Everything gets used in this game. This game is 2-player also, but not at the same time. More like the first Super Mario Bros.
No co-op? That's as lame as the use of magic in your game.
Turning into a sorcerer definitely follows the magic theme, but turning into a fireman? Turning into a guy that climbs really well. It just lacks imagination. And your boss battles are ridiculous. Some of the bosses take way too long to kill early in the game. It starts off way too hard.
You're just trying to cover up how flawed your game is.
The worst part about the Sega game is that it's painfully slow. Everything's slow. Attacking, jumping, moving, crawling, climbing. Talk about a game that did not age well. The Super Nintendo game may have flaws, but at least you can play it without falling asleep. Play both games back to back, and you'll wish the Sega game came with a turbo mode. It's not just slow, the controls don't feel tight at all. You almost feel like you have no control sometimes. With more variety, better controls, and not being the slowest game ever, gameplay goes to Super Nintendo.
While both games may have some flaws, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse is the better game.
It may not have the best cutscenes or sound effects, but it looks better and most importantly, plays better. The Sega game isn't horrible, and 2-player mode is enjoyable, but it plays too loose and too slow.
The best Mickey Mouse game goes to...
Oh, come on, let me try. I think I can do it.
No, I'm just gonna say a bunch of spells in a row and it's gonna transform and I'll stop when it turns into a boot, alright? Trust me.
Well, it worked in Willow.
Let's move this over here. Things could get messy. Tuatha, tuatha, tulu. Watwa dalor. Latha danalorum. Tuatha tanu. Watwath wanu. Lorwatha tananu. Tuatha, tuatha tulu. Watwa dalor. Latha danalorum. Tuatha tanu. Watwatha danalorum. Lathana tananu. Watwatha wananu. Lalatha tananu. Tuatha. Tatha danalo. Watwatha dalarum. Watwatha tananu. Watwatha wananu. Tuatha. I did it! You see that? It was awesome! Magic is great! It looks better than new! Look at you, you're speechless! Come on, man, look at that thing! Say something!
You idiot!
Thanks for watching our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also join us on Facebook, Twitter, and keep up with all your suggestions for future videos. I promise we will get to them.
Tuatha. Shazam! Abraca, change back to the cute girl.